Hey everybody, this is Sherry with CPR, Craft, Pray, Repeat. And I'm back to share a few more of the journals with you that I've made. And I'm going to start by sharing with you what I use to make them, so that if you're interested in finding them, you'll know what to look for. And some of these are old. I've had them for a long time, so I'm not sure if they're still available, but you will definitely know the names of them and what company they're from. So I'll be right back. Alright everybody, this first one is from Concord and Ninth, and it's called Kind Hearted Stamp Set. And I put a couple things together. It says, in a world where you can be anything, being kind, and I didn't do the it, doesn't go unnoticed. So I put three together to get, or three of these little parts to get together what I wanted with the big kind. This is a Hero Arts Prayer Stamp and Cut set, and I've had this forever, so I'm not sure if this is available, but I really like it. And this one says, you are in my thoughts and prayers often, and I am so thankful for you. And this is Sweet and Sassy Scripture and Sentiment Companions. I used the Altenew Peony Bouquet, and I used this flower right here out of this stamp set. The next one is Altenew Beautiful Day, and I used this flower and this leaf set right here. So this flower, this outline flower, and this leaf set. Now these are the ones where you can layer the stamps to get the different things so you don't have to color them. But I just used the outline. And then this last one is from Sweet and Sassy, and it's called Fantastic Flowers, and I used this big flower right here. And that was all I used out of this. I'm not even sure. I don't even think I used any of the leaf sets, or the leaves. So I haven't used this, and for the longest time after I got it, I wasn't a fan of it because of the darker lines. But I have since kind of fallen in love with it the last few weeks, and just this I just love. I love this one. I like the leaf here. I love it. So I'll be doing some more stuff with this in the near future, but I wanted to share with you what I use first, and I'll be right back to share my first journal. I forgot to let you guys know that I also use this VersaFine. I always do this. I forget half the stuff I use. I use the VersaFine Onyx Black ink because it's waterproof. And then I use two different watercolor papers because I wasn't really sure which one I was going to like better, but actually I kind of like them both about the same. And this one is the Strathmore Ready Cut 5x7 500 series premium cold press paper. And this one is the Fabriano Artistico extra white 100% cotton paper. And to be honest, I'm not sure which one it is, but one of them is, it's supposed to be 5x7, but one of them is not. One of them is a little shorter and a little wider. So I'm not sure which one it is, but they both work, and I like them both equally. And now this one is on a block, so you can color right on the block if you want to. But I have been using the this STD, the stamp transfer device that my husband made me to stamp my images. Because this watercolor paper is textured, it's just, you know, easier for me if I know that I don't get a good impression the first time. I can stamp it again. So I've been using that, so I take it off the block and put it in that. And I've also used the Tim Holtz stamp platform that Lisa gave me. So I've kind of been switching back and forth depending on how I needed to put my image. So because the stamp platform from Tim Holtz has more room than the one my husband made me. And now I promise I will share the journals with you and show you some of the things that I did that were a little different with one of them. Alright, this is the one that I did a little differently. I did another video in it. I did the paper at 4.5. And This one I did it at 4 inches because I wasn't quite sure. If I do it at 4 3/4, it comes directly to the edge. And this paper is, it's a 5x7 watercolor sheet that I shared with you. So all the journals are 5x7. And I wanted to have room to round the corners. So I cut this at 4 inches. Well, then it left, I thought, too much space. So I put a clip here on the back in this is heavyweight chipboard, and added an RSVP pin, which pops right here, in and out, so that if you want to do this journal, you have this type of journal, you would have a pen right there. So this paper's cut at 4 inches by 7 inches. And this is the front, and I had originally just lined my flowers up along the edge. Then I decided that I wanted to cut them out and have a decorative border, which is one of the reasons I cut this at 4 inches, because if I cut it made it any longer, any wider, you was going to be able to see the paper here where I had cut out along the edge. And then I decided that I was worried this wasn't sturdy enough. So then I added a sheet of 110-pound Recollections cardstock to the back that matched the flowers. I did it also on the back here, added a sheet of it so that it just all coordinated. And that way it made this heavier and sturdier so that when people are opening it and closing it, that, you know, it has some stability to it. And colored it up with my Tim Holtz Distress inks. Used my black binding rings on this one. And this is before I had figured out I could cut the acetate and put on top. I will probably be continuing to put acetate on the top of them to protect them and to protect the watercoloring and stuff. But I really like how this one turned out. I really do. I think it's really pretty. I am a little disappointed that, you don't have as much room to write in the inside, but, if you want it to look like this and you want to cut along the edge, then you have to sacrifice a little bit. But had I realized that I was going to, put the paper behind it, the 110-pound cardstock, then I could have done it the regular way. But I still think it's beautiful. I still think it would make a beautiful journal, and absolutely love it. Use that extra heavyweight copy paper for the inside, so it's a really nice, thick, hardy journal. I like it a lot. Alright everybody, here's the next one. This is where I use the 2 stamp sets together. This is one is from the Peony Bouquet, and the other one is from the Beautiful Day stamp set, I believe. And I used my black glaze pen down here on the stamen. Used one of my Memento inks up here to just draw the purple in a little bit more. I used my silver binding rings here on the side. Again, the heavyweight chipboard in the back, and then some lighter weight up here in the front, so it's not quite as bulky. If you use the heavyweight chipboard on the front and the back, it's going to take up a lot of space in your binding rings. So I mean, you can do it that way if you want. The paper here is cut at 4 3/4 by 7 inches, and that is my second journal. I love how it turned out. I'm just really enjoying experimenting with how the inks go together and what kind of look I get depending on which colors. And originally, I showed you this one, and I was originally trying to redo these here, but put in abandoned coral by mistake, and it gave me more of an orange flower than the pale pink peach here. So, I mean, no two are going to be exactly alike. I had somebody ask if I could make a couple of them exactly alike because they wanted to give them as gifts to their sisters. Well, I can't make any of them exactly alike. That's not going to happen. I can make them similar, and I can try to use the same colors. Lord willing, I don't mess up and use the wrong color like I did here. But I mean, I can try to, but I'm not, they're not ever going to be the same, because depending on how much water you have on your brush and whatnot is going to determine how the inks flow. So no two are ever going to be the same, and I like that idea. And like I said, or said in my last video, I figured out that I could put acetate over top to protect the watercolor, and I will be doing that in the future. It still allows the watercolor to breathe, but yet protects it in case, you know, it were to get wet somehow. Excuse me. And so I really like doing that, and I will do that in the future. And I'm not sure if I told you, but this one is 4 3/4 by 7, where this one here was cut at 4 by 7. So, I mean, there are differences in each of them, but I have pretty much decided that I like the 4 3/4 by 7. I wish I could round the edges on it a little bit, but I like the fact that it gives you more room to write if I leave it like that. So, you know, I will be leaving it like that, and just not rounding the corner. I mean, it's a little bit of give and take to get what you want. And I'll be back with my third and final one for this video. Here is my third journal, and I stamped this out with Memento ink, and originally I had hoped to do like a no-line watercolor, but by the time I had gotten it all stamped out, I think the ink had pretty much soaked into the paper, so my lines didn't lighten up at all. And I thought, well, that's just a fine how do you do. I was so disappointed. And then I did the stamping on it, and I thought, you know what? I pulled out my gold gel pen, and I went around all the lines, because you could still see them. They were definitely not no line. And went around the edge with my gold gel pen, and absolutely love it now. Absolutely love it. This one is spoken for. I was so tickled when a lady reached out to me about this one, and was so happy that she liked it, because when I started it, I was not sure how I was going to feel about this, because I was not a fan of these images at the time. And then after I did it and did the gold, and I thought, well, great, it didn't turn out with the Memento. I didn't get my no-line watercoloring. And no, it was not Memento. It was one of my distress inks. And I mean, it just literally soaked into the paper, and it was not going anywhere. And so I was just like, this is awful. And I almost threw it away. And I thought, no, I've heard people say over and over, you know, they have to look ugly before they get better. And so I kept thinking, oh lordy, I'm in the ugly stage. Let's hope it gets better. And it finally did. I just went and did a wash across the back with the blue to try to make the flowers pop a little. Because with the off-white or the white color of the watercolor paper, they just weren't popping off the page. And I put the blue underneath, and it really made the flowers pop. And I absolutely love the gold gel pen on the edges. And I mean, you could, you know, I guess heat emboss with gold, but this is a little softer and a little more mellow. So I really like it. I went ahead and used my white binding ring. So on this video, I've showed my black ones, my silver ones, and my white ones. And I guess with the black writing, I could have used black. But originally, like I said, this was all white back here. So I went with the white and then changed it blue. Oh, but I still love it. And I was so tickled when somebody else liked it as much as I did. That really made me happy. And so these are the journals that I have made so far for this video. Absolutely love how they turned out. And like the fact that this one has room for a pen and has the rounded corners. So they're all just a little different. And some took a little longer to color. And you would think that with these bigger flowers, this would go together quicker. But it actually took me a little longer to make everything blend and mesh together with this one. And I had seen somebody use a pale green and pink to make a white flower. And that's what I was shooting for. Did I get a white flower? No, I did not. But I used old paper and I want to say tattered rose, but I'm not sure if that was the right pink. I think it is, to get my color here. But you can't tell that because that's such a light wash with the green, you'd never know that it's actually green. So I really like it. I like that every once in a while you'll catch a hint of the green, but it's not something that's in your face. So I just am really having a blast making these, and it's just been a lot of fun and definitely kept me distracted and entertained and kept my blood pressure down, which has been really high lately. So we're shooting on getting the blood pressure down. But that's it, guys. I really enjoyed doing this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll do my best to answer them. I am by far no watercolor expert, but I will try to answer with what limited amount of knowledge I have. Alright, and remember to practice your CPR, craft, pray, repeat. Thanks for visiting me today, and happy crafting. Love you all. Bye.